Well, good morning, my friends. Welcome back to Outlaw Country. I hope you all had a good week. I don't even know what day it is today. And I'm not kidding. I honestly don't even know what day it is today. I think it's Thursday. Anyhow, who cares what day it is? It's a day in the mountains. And a day in the mountains is a good day. Any day in the mountains is a good day. So I hope you guys enjoyed my last video there. Me sharing my first-hand personal encounters with you. You know what, I do this. I do this because I love to be out in the woods and I love to film and whatnot. And the hell is that? Didn't like that sound very much. I do this because I love to film, love to be out in the woods. And I do it for you guys. So if you guys ask for something and it's reasonable, oh shit, man down, Jesus, oh man, look at that. Looked like solid ground, but moss covered rotten logs. See how careful you got to be, you guys. You bust a leg so easily doing something like that. Anyhow, you guys ask for certain content and it's reasonable. I'm going to do it for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't like talking about myself. Really. You know, I've always just considered myself just an average dude. You know, an average guy, right? Maybe even below average. I don't know. I'm just like I'm a redneck, whiskey making, mountain loving guy. How's that sound? All right. I don't know if this is a good spot or not, but it's in the shade. It's nice and cool. Beautiful little creek. You know, I see these little creeks and right away my mind goes to, man, that'd be a great spot to set up my still and make some whiskey. Great little creek for making whiskey. All right, as good a place as any to sit and read a few emails. They keep rolling in. The emails keep rolling in. I think I said in my last video that I was just under 500, and I'm actually at something like 530 some odd emails. And I'll get to them. I will get to them, I promise. If you've emailed in to me, be patient, please. I will get back to you. And thanks for all the support, you guys, on the review videos too. You know, I get a lot of invites to do product reviews for different shit, and most of them I just decline. I just go, no thanks. But you know, there's a lot of stuff that I find pretty cool and good stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out. Like, you know, like the air mattress, the Commoud's air mattress, and the Cospit watch. Still not wearing the watch. My arm is still healing from the 8 hours of tattoo work I had. But the Cospit watch, you know, super nice of Cospit to send Mrs. Outlaw and I those two smart watches. Phenomenal products. And all the trail cams and the night vision. It's just cool shit. And I want to, you know, I love passing some of that stuff on to you guys for sure. I've tried to get a few trail cams to hand out. Haven't had any luck with that yet from the trail cam companies. But like I say, the night visions, given away one so far, and maybe by now a second one, and then so there's going to be like three different night visions that I'm going to give away, and I've got a rifle or pistol scope that I'm going to do a giveaway on, and just want to give back to you guys for all your support. That's what it is, right? But thanks for watching the reviews. I do appreciate it, because they give me this stuff for free, and I do a review for them. And if it's not a good product, I tend to email the company back and just say, look, I can't give you a positive review because I don't like your product. And they just go, okay, and a lot of them will ask for feedback on how to fix it and whatnot. So anyways, thanks for your support, guys. I'm not going to waste any more time because it's going to get pretty warm today, and I want to get up to the lake here before it does. So I'm just going to get into these couple of emails for you right away. Try to get a couple more read. Where are we? We are right here. Okay, here we go. Hi, Darren. I wanted to start off by thanking you for all the emails you've read and your dedication to this controversial topic. I thought long and hard about whether or not I should share my story, and I've decided it's time. I've been close many times to sending it in to other people, but it's never felt right. I was always very concerned that I'd be judged and ridiculed and made fun of for what my brother and I saw and how he reacted. The reason I decided to share with you is because you've been in those life or death situations in the wilderness with grizzlies, and you shared everyone what you went through. And I witnessed the support you received from Outlaw Country subscribers. Sure did. I sure did get a lot of support. I also know that you, and hopefully others in the Outlaw Country family, will understand that when you stare death in the eye, your instincts kick in and take over. And you will fight to the death. Well, back in 2015, that's exactly what happened to my brother Trevor and I when we were on a deer hunt in northeastern Oregon. We both grew up hunting and fishing with our dad. And we've hunted these mountains for deer, bear, and even elk a few times. It was the third night of our hunt, and we were glassing a valley bottom when we heard the craziest sound either of us had ever heard in our lives. It sounded almost like some kind of musical instrument mixed with the sound of a whale singing underwater. It would start off soft and deep and change pitch and volume several times throughout the call before it would stop. Pause and then start again. After the second or third time this thing called, Trev looked at me and said, "That's a Bigfoot." As much as I wanted there to be, there was absolutely no other logical explanation for what we were hearing. There were no roads back in that valley where the sound was coming from. It was all remote wilderness for hundreds of miles in that direction. Every time this thing bellowed, at the end of the call, you could hear it exhale and the breath leaving its massive lungs. Similar to that of a bull elk at the end of their call, but much louder, much deeper. Neither Trevor or I had ever seen any signs or proof of these Bigfoot people, but we had heard plenty of stories over the years from Oregon, Washington, California, and Canada. I personally always thought the Bigfoot were just a myth or folklore. But Trevor, on the other hand, was a total believer. When this thing was bellowing down the valley, it did appear as if it was getting closer to us each time we heard it. However, it was still probably over a mile from us, but it was very loud and getting louder. I said to Trev that we should start working our way back to our machines, because I really didn't want to see whatever the hell is making that noise. And besides, it'll be dark soon. Trevor said, no, let's stick around. I want to stay and see if I can get my eyes on a Bigfoot. I thought he was joking, but apparently not. He was glassing the valley in the direction of the call. In the direction of the call was coming from, and I was packing my shit to my day pack, getting ready to head out. All of a sudden, Trevor yells out, "Holy fuck." And my heart jumped out of my chest. I could hear the panic in his voice. He dropped his binoculars, pointed and said, "There it is running through the trees." And all hell kind of broke loose because I didn't know exactly where Trev was pointing or what the hell he was pointing at. Trevor scrambled to get his rifle, rolled over and laid prone on the ground, looking through his rifle scope. I dropped my day pack and grabbed my rifle too. Not knowing what I was really looking at or in which direction. Trevor kept saying, holy shit, over and over. I could tell he was scanning for whatever he'd seen. I was asking him what it was and where it was, but he didn't answer me. Only a couple minutes after Trevor saw whatever he saw, we heard the same bellowing, moaning sound. But now it was much quieter, and it was behind us in the direction we were going to go back to our bikes, and maybe only a few hundred yards from us. It was the exact same sound. This thing had come more than a mile in less than a couple of minutes. And just the thought of that made me shake. I moved close to Trev and said, "What the fuck did you see?" He whispered, "I told you it was a Bigfoot. Guaranteed. I saw it." We both had our guns on our shoulders and loaded, and we stared into the trees behind us. All of a sudden, the moaning off to our right, soft and long, then a pause, and again, maybe 100 yards to the left. Whatever it was circling us, or there was more than one. I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Get the hell out of here!" And immediately heard a really loud snap of a tree or a large branch, and then a couple loud grunts. I yelled, "Fuck off!" I said to Trevor, "I think it's a bear." Trevor looked at me and said, "It's no fucking bear, man. I saw it." I knew by the look in his eyes that Trev had indeed seen something terrifying. It was not a bear. As I was looking at Trev, this thing screamed at us, and all hell broke loose. It was smashing trees, breaking branches, and screaming like nothing I'd ever heard before in my life. I hit the ground right beside my brother and got my gun up in the direction of this thing. I scanned the timber, and I caught quick flashes of something moving very fast, and I could see the trees moving, and some were being broken. I could barely hold my scope to my eye. I was shaking so badly. I heard Trev saying, "Holy shit," over and over. Then I seen it, clear as a bell. This thing was standing beside a tree, standing still, looking right at us. It was a huge creature. Your typical description of part man, but mostly animal. All of a sudden, it charged us like an angry grizzly. And I heard 2 quick shots, and my left ear was ringing. I lost sight of it when Trevor shot, and everything went silent except for the ringing in my ear, and Trevor yelling hysterically. I never took my eyes off the spot I'd last seen this creature. I stared at the timber for a couple minutes. I looked at my brother and said, "Are you okay, Trev?" He didn't answer me. He was holding his gun, shaking. He was almost hyperventilating, still looking through his scope. I grabbed his shoulder, and he almost came out of his skin. He was so scared. When he looked at me, I could see the tears in his eyes, as well as the sheer fear in his face. I said, "Hey man, we're okay. It's gone." I'm not going to bullshit anyone and say I wasn't scared shitless, because that would be an outright lie. I was absolutely shook to the core and likely in shock. When I say I pissed myself, it's embarrassing, but true. I was 48 years old at the time and Trevor 45, and I considered both of us as tough as they come. But we both felt like little kids stranded in the woods with a monster. We never heard anything further, and after a couple minutes, I stood up and helped Trevor off the ground to his feet. I grabbed his pack and handed it to him and reached for my own. I said, "Come on, man, let's get the hell out of here." I told Trev to throw 2 more rounds in his gun and be ready, as we had to walk right past where this was. And we fully expected to see it laying there dead. I asked him if he thinks he hit it, and he said he definitely did, with both shots. Trevor kept saying, "I had no choice. I had no choice. It was coming for us." I said, "I know, man, it's okay." Trev kept repeating this over and over, and I kept reassuring him. We started to slowly walk towards where this thing was. And as we did, we could smell a terrible odor, much the same as a bear. We were scanning the ground in front of us looking for it, but nothing. We could see where the trees were busted and the ground tore up. Several small trees pulled right out of the ground, but the creature was not there. I turned to Trev and said, "Okay, let's pick up the pace and get the hell out of here, but keep your eyes open." Right then, this thing appeared again, not more than 20 feet in front of us. It was looking right at us, and it screamed, or rather roared, again, and took off. In the blink of an eye, it was gone. There wasn't even time to put my gun to my shoulder, let alone take the safety off and squeeze the trigger. It was gone. We worked our way slowly back to the ATV trail and made it out just before dark. I felt a bit better being at our bikes, but Trevor was in no better shape. I'm certain he was still in shock. I probably was as well. As we were loading our gear onto our bikes, we heard the fucking bellowing again behind us, where we had just come from. It was off in the distance, it wasn't too close, but nonetheless. Trevor spun around and shouldered his gun to shoot into the darkness, but I grabbed it and said, "No, let's just get out of here, man." We jumped on our bikes and headed back for camp. By the time we got back to camp, Trevor was doing a bit better, and we were able to talk about what we'd seen and what had happened. He looked at me, he said, "Ryan, I shot that thing. I hit him both times, I had no choice. He was going to kill us. He was coming after us. Trevor and I both shoot 30-06, and we're both damn good shots. But you never know how accurate you are when you're in a panic mode. Fear takes over, and you just don't know. We talked about it most of the night. Neither of us really wanted to go to sleep, but we eventually did. In the morning, I got up and went outside to relieve myself and saw both our ATVs laying on their sides, and the ground tore up all around them. That was enough. I went back in the camper, grabbed my gun, and said, "Trev, get up. We're getting the fuck out of here." Trevor was as shocked as I was to see our bikes flipped over, and we wasted no time loading them up into the trailer and getting the fuck out of there. Our guns never left our sides as we packed, but in the back of my mind I was thinking to myself, obviously our rifles aren't going to do a damn bit of good. These things can't be killed. This was 10 years ago, Darren, and not a day goes by that I don't think about what happened. It took Trevor a couple years to come to terms with what went down. He was so sure he'd killed this thing and couldn't make sense of how it survived, how it wasn't laying there on the ground when we went up there. We do both still hunt, but we haven't gone even close to that area since that day. We now hunt out west and more in Central Oregon. That used to be our favorite spot. That spot used to be our favorite area, but I'll never return there again, ever. I don't talk to many people about what happened because most don't believe you. And I get it, but to those jokers that have never had an experience, but sit on their lazy asses and say, they don't exist, I say, fuck you, you pathetic loser. I've been teased, I've been tormented, I don't give a shit. Trevor and I both know what we saw. Those people that can't admit it are scared to death that they do exist, and so they should be. I'll give you my opinion only. These creatures are more animal than human. Far more animal. They want nothing to do with us. And yes, they are dangerous. Why this one didn't kill us, I have no idea. But it certainly wanted to make sure we never go back into that area, and it succeeded. Thanks again. Thanks for listening to me and allowing me to tell my encounter. I really don't give a shit if anyone believes me or not. It's not important. What is important is that people know. Once you know, nothing else matters. I actually laugh at the shitheads that call me a liar and insist these things are a myth. The joke's on you people. Go spend a few nights in these mountains where I used to hunt. I dare ya. Thanks, Outlaw Country. Keep up the battle. Ryan Moore. Holy mother of God. Holy mother, Ryan. These hunting stories, hunters and hikers and fishermen and whatever that have encounters with these beings really resonate with me. Because that's what I do, right? I'm out here. I'm in it. And I felt like I was right there. I felt like I was right there with Ryan and Trevor, man. Holy shit. That is friggin' wild. Now Ryan mentioned that that I've stared death in the face and how, the whole thing about, I'm not going to go into that, but the whole thing about, your body just takes over, your instincts take over is 100% true. Your instincts in a sheer life and death situation, your instincts take over. Your mind takes over and kind of draws a blank. And I can speak to that firsthand because I've had several very near death experiences with grizzly bears where I probably should have been dead. And I remember them, you know, but it's like time stood still, and your instincts do take over. You know, in sheer panic mode, you don't have the ability to reason, and your body just takes over and does what it needs to do to survive. It's you know, it's fight or die, right? And I get it, Trevor. You know, whatever that thing could have been a bear. I'm not saying it was. Don't get me wrong. 100%. It was obviously it was a Bigfoot, but you saw something that's coming at you. It's protect yourself, right? It's survival of the fittest, and you know, you squeeze the trigger. Don't blame you. Don't blame you. Something's coming at me. You know what? I'm gonna die with an empty gun, not a full one. Okay? I'm gonna die with 5 spent cartridges at my feet. Not in the chamber. Not in the mag. Not in my clip. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive. Wild, you guys. Holy shit. And this thing comes to your camp and flips over your bikes. I remember an email many months ago, maybe a few years or so ago. I remember an email of I believe it was a rancher or a ranch hand or something, and one of these things flipped his ATV, flipped his side-by-side over. Flipped it right on its side, on his ranch. I remember that. That's enough to scare the living shit out of you, isn't it? Wake up in the morning and see your 2 bikes flipped over in the ground all tore to shit. I mean, grizzlies can do that, but I weren't no grizzly. You guys know that. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for the share. Appreciate it. Gonna get a hold of you 100%. I'd like to hear a bit more about that. And I'd also like to hear if you had any other encounters over your lifetime. Oregon, eh? I think there's a lot of shit goes down in Oregon and Washington, California. I mean, let's face it, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. I'd like to know if anybody, leave me a comment below, because I've spent quite a bit of time in Arizona. I'd like to know if there's ever been a sighting or anything, tracks found or anything like that in Arizona. Okay, I'd like to know that. Because when I was in Arizona, I went on a couple hikes, Mrs. Outlaw and I'm in the mountains, and I'm kind of like, why couldn't they live here? There is, I mean, it's fairly barren, but there is, you know, there's lots of rock outcroppings and rock structures and stuff. And, I mean, there is forests in Arizona as well, right? Like the Kaibab and the Grand Canyon area and stuff like that. But I've personally never heard of anything in Arizona, but they got to be there. So if you've heard of an encounter in Arizona, leave me a comment, let me know. Anyways, you got something to share, you guys. Fire it in. I think that's going to be it for today. I'm going to rock and roll. If you got any emails you want to share, any encounters you want to share, email me. Okay, outlawcountry1896 gmail.com. And I will get them read. Okay. So you guys have a great day. Be safe. And I say it every time because I sincerely mean it. Be a good person. All right? Be a good person. Do something nice for someone. The world's got enough shitheads in it. All right? Just be a good person. Okay, I'm out of here. Have a good day, you guys. Later. Got to be close to the lake here now with all this blowdown. It's a long ways back into here, man. Holy. It's a good 3-hour hike, solid 3 hours. Probably about 4 if you take some breaks. It's usually about what I do it in. Yeah, pretty sure that's the lake down below me. You'll often get a lot of windfall. near lakes just because that's where the wind picks up and knocks the trees down. All right, let's motor.